People who understand Chinese Japanese, what's the dumbest thing you've seen tattooed on someone? I remember in elementary school my buddy had this really cool hoodie with Asian lettering and dragons and shit. Anyway, one day our sub tells him the only thing written on it was chicken wing. He also told him there were multiple different languages on it, all used incorrectly. Sounds like clothing from the store, super dry, all mixed up nonsensical stuff. In tiny print you can find Asian inspired. The funny thing is that Super Dry is Japanese. It's a beer made by Asahi Brewing. Super Dry is a British clothing brand. It's only marketed to be Japanese to make it appear cooler. Saw a girl with this tattooed on her shoulder who swore up and down it meant poison. It means fish. My theory is that poor spelling was involved, because poison is one letter away from poisson, which is French for fish. So, maybe she typed poison into Google Translate, it auto-detected French, and gave her the word for fish. LMAO, so she's dumb in 3 languages. And technically illiterate. I was on the subway in New York City and there was a guy who clearly lifted a lot. He was wearing a sleeveless shirt, and on his jacked arms in Chinese were the words beef noodle soup for everyone to see. Man looked ready to get the rest of his favorite restaurant's menu tattooed on his body. Beef noodle soup is fucking delicious. Fucking delicious. I have my Chinese zodiac in Chinese letters on my arm. I worked with a guy who was from China and spoke almost no English. When he saw it his eyes lit up, pointed at my arm, and said ha 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 cock. I'm the year of the rooster. Also means prostitute. Or noob. I'm imagining this guy seeing you, and yelling ha 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 cock. And it's cracking me up lol. Yeah, it was pretty funny NGL. Can't be mad at facts lol. I once had a chat with a girl, we are Chinese, who goes to University of South Carolina, and she had no problem talking about their cock mascot. I was so uncomfortable. I guess she doesn't know that cock means something else. A big muscly tough looking guy with accommodation, written in big kanji down his bicep. Later I considered that maybe he was a property developer though. So he's a walking advertisement. Or maybe he will accommodate his bicep into your head if you question it. I misread accordion. I like it. That's funny because I work in education and the word accommodation means making special concessions for a student during an exam or lesson on the basis of a professional diagnosis of mental retardation, dyslexia or other processing developmental issue. So he's basically advertising that he has issues with information and needs extra help. Chinese speaker here. In high school I worked at a CVS. A white woman showed up at the register with a very poorly drawn tattoo, and I said cool tattoo, means power. She scoffed and replied to me, like I was Satan himself, and said you obviously don't understand Chinese letters. The tattoo artist told me it means the strength to overcome anything, even breast cancer. Then she rolled her eyes at me and walked away. But, isn't that sorta what power is? What a fucking Karen. Sort of opposite of this. In 1987 my sister visited the USSR and came home with a photo of an old lady wearing t-shirt that said fuck you, I'm from Minnesota. Who says she's not an English speaking Minnesotan? I once had a roommate placed with me in the apartment our company ran for us here in Japan. He was loud, obnoxious, and I generally didn't get on well with him. But, you try to get along, so we'd go to the izakaya up the street from time to time with other friends to drink and have a good time. The owners were this wonderful old Japanese couple who loved having all these weird gaijin come and entertain the locals. Anyway, somehow we get talking about tattoos and the roommate is showing his off. He then says that he got the kanji for friendship and peace tattooed on his back and lifts his shirt to show everyone. There's a bit of silence, broken by someone asking, who's Tomokazu? What roommate didn't know, of course, was that those two kanji in that order was a man's name. He reacted well, though, taking a beat and then announcing, I'm Tomokazu, which became a running joke while he was there. I'm curious now, do you read them Tomo and Kazu separately as well or something totally different? I have monkey on my wrist because that's my Chinese zodiac. I know it's accurate because a Chinese guy asked me if I knew what it meant, and I'm sure he thought I would say faith or love or something. So when I said monkey he looked so relieved. His friend was like, you have got to stop doing that. I've got dragon on my left shoulder for the same reason, 100% positive. I asked a Chinese friend to draw it for me. plus the entire zodiac, is printed on the back of the menus for the local Chinese restaurant, so I really just asked for confirmation. Lol. Y'all are lucky to have such cool animals as your zodiac signs. I definitely don't want pig tattooed on me. I once saw this middle-aged dude wearing on his shoulder. The rough literary translation is goldfish man, which in Cantonese means a sleazy older man who creeps on younger girls/children. Basically a pedo. Wonder under what circumstances he got that inked. Maybe he was circumventing a court-ordered community warning. That's like getting a choking hazard for ages 17 and under. I was scrolling through the web at some tattoos for fun. A person said they got a tattoo that said strength and courage in Japanese. It actually said little animal. Big mistake. Great quote emo, but I don't think they thought so after they got it permanently marked on their skin. That's hilarious. Oh, that's just what my parents think of me. Small kid, big noise. I had a student that transferred from Japan in high school who I was good friends with. A kid came in with a phrase in English that said, "Come to me if you wish to free your mind." Then supposedly the same phrase in Japanese. She noticed and whispered the phrase to me, which was hot bananas a piece. There's a Japanese restaurant by my house that offers banana tempura as a dessert, and this is applicable. What a pure, good comment. Hot bananas a piece. I used to live in China, and it was considered fashionable to have English lettering on your clothing regardless if you spoke English or not. I once saw an old woman literally in her 80s 90s with drugs, "Are my life" on her t-shirt. I guess at that age she's probably not wrong, but still. I love this so much, ha ha ha. My favorite was in Japan, magical, a gay color. I almost spit my drink out when I read that. Used to travel to China for work, 3 weeks or more each time. OMG, were you there? Approximate 4 years ago, when there was a plane full of idiots printed on a hoodie. Saw someone wearing it in the train was funny, but watching so many people wearing it on the crowded AF shopping area, I really had a good laugh. 40-plus-year-old bald white guy with Chinese characters that translated as "I'm a cute little princess" on the length of his forearm. Had a good laugh the rest of that day. As a 55-plus-year-old bald fat white guy, I almost need that. Almost. Hell, I'd goffen that. My buddy has illiterate foreigner in traditional Chinese characters. It's dope. My friend told me that he saw a tattoo parlor that had his word "stupid gaijin" in Japanese as one of the featured artworks. Irvine, or maybe Redondo Beach, California, for reference. That would be a good tattoo if you're a War Thunder fan. I have a kind of reverse of this. I'm an American who visited South Korea and saw a shirt there. This was in a part of the country where not a lot of English was spoken. We had some difficulty getting around. I was walking by a clothing store that seemed to sell nice, somewhat classy but not dressy clothes. Think stuff you can wear to a job where you interact with the public. Then, right there in the window, was a shirt that had written across the front, "Make a girl come for once." I have a shirt from a trip to Korea that says "The sea is good." I couldn't argue with that, so I had to buy it. The South Koreans have had to show increasing solidarity with the sea ever since North Korea has amplified their efforts to bomb Poseidon into submission. I didn't see it, but I went with a friend to get a piercing, and I heard a guy say, "I don't like the way that looks. Can you change this line and make the ends do this?" The tattoo artist said, "Yay, but that changes the word. You might be going from brave to gay woman for all I know. You can't change kanji symbols and still have it mean the same thing. I don't like my therapist tattoo. Can you put a space between the THE and the RPIST? Thanks." As someone who has studied both Japanese and Mandarin Chinese, I want to facepalm. Because seriously, change or move one tiny stroke, and you end up with a completely different word. At least have a basic respect for the language you want carved into your body for the rest of your life. That's what happened to Ariana Grande, lol. A friend of mine had a tat shop. He put up a flash page with kanji for stuff like asshole, bastard, etc. If anyone asked the meaning, he would honestly tell them. However, he would regularly get people come in, see the character, think it looked cool, and get it inked on without ever bothering to ask. He thought that was hilarious. I'll never understand this. I get having a lot of tattoos and not really thinking much about the next one, but you're not even gonna spend 10 seconds on Google finding out what the word you're imprinting on your body forever means. Reminds me of a guy who went to a tattoo shop and picked random characters from a table of Chinese characters. He then found out that he had chosen atomic ass bomb to be written on his forearm and was happy about it too. I'd be pretty happy with that as well, tbh.